Welcome back, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time for more Phoenix Wright 2 voice LP. This is the final case. I don't know how much more there is to this, but here we go. March 22nd, 2:14 p.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian. No way. No, do that again. Like, dude, I totally can't believe that Adrian. No way, not cool and collected Adrian Andrews, man. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. Put down the volume a little bit, I forgot. Second. There you go. That should be quiet enough. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was her. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See? She could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Carita. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan, dude. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about, dude? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of the day. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix. You think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts for her strength and will to live. But then Miss Impacts suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have it hidden. Is Juan Carita the victim of this murder? And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Carita. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Mr. Andrews' codependency with regards to Miss Impacts. I think she meant Miss Andrews. It was Edgeworth! It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. Mia has a lot of plot, yes. Yes. A lot of plot. Oh, here we go! Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witnesses subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Carita's room. She still has the freaking card? Really? What is your occupation? I don't remember the voice I gave her. Now I gotta do a new voice, because I forgot the old voice. I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ungard. I see. Nothing. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. I would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Carita. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. That was a fry and bait matter, or was it that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. That's also a move in chess for some reason. But I didn't kill him. No one has accused you of that. I've got a feeling someone will soon. Huh? Of course. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well, then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. When I found the body, I slapped it a few times. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Why? You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Knight, you may cross-examine the witness. So when I came upon the murder, I accidentally grabbed the gun, and then foolishly put my fingers on the trigger. Right, Edgeworth? Okay, let's see here. Phoenix. She is one cool and collected customer, but she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pace. Disrupt her pace? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. You have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? Sure. What? Alright, here we go. Time to press. And what was Mr. On Guard doing at that time? He was taking a nap. That's too much Maya. He was taking a nap. He was taking a nap. Get all hushy with the voice. There we go. He was worn out from his mini performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. On Guard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? It? What are you... Right? I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Ungod's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. Each. Alright, next. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon? What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim? Huh. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? I'm recording, right? Yeah. You were in shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person. And despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Carita. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. Thanks, ma'am. I see. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as the crime scene photo. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? Juice? Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There are no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more thing. One more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Carita, you were in great shock. That's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Press further. Miss Andrews! I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime scene? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser. But when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. No, it didn't! Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. Well, they did! It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this to anything else. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over, where it fell onto the guitar case. That's a contradiction and we'll get that later. Press for now. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take Juan's pulse, so I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser. And that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between the perception and the reality. Doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradictions in her testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you're going to catch her is with some very strong, decisive evidence. I had to find something. I just have to. For Maya's sake. For my baby girl. Okay, over here. There it is. Okay, so there's two ways this can go. Let's just present the guitar case. Okay, good. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell into the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? The guitar case was open when the vase fell. The glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. Ah! What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, an empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case. It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Knight, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Make her testify. The empty guitar case. I believe that is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this. But it is you who has beaten him every time. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along. For now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. The guitar case. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. That's weird. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now, that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. Dude! A bit on the mean side there, ain't he? Well, during your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you are the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Her codependency is coming through, huh? Well, Miss Andrews... Yes, it was me. Interesting. So you opened the guitar case, then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Kadita's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic... Was it really empty? Huh? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix. We can't afford to let her on. We can't afford to let up on her. I wasn't planning on letting up, but... she's at her weakest now. So this is your chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with? Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. It's probably her looking for the suicide note, so... let's see here. We're gonna probably get this wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Oh, there it is. I screwed up. There it is. Impacts. There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Ah. Oh, really? What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony. So of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Knight, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange. You were wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? You have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? The wine glass! I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Ah! Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice. Wouldn't you think it was just a little strange? That you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Ah! We broke her freaking glass! Oh, she got new glasses. She wearing sugar glasses? What the balls? Her glasses broke! And she put on a new pair. What? Order! 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 Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. Huh? What do you mean? I believe the guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the guitar! The bright red guitar was at the studio! Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was the guitar case? What was in the guitar case? It was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean... It was a bright white guitar! Wait, that's not right either. God damn it, Phoenix. It's the note! I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I am sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Mr. Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim. Correct? Please enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well... Let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in that case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that a bright black guitar was... God damn it! So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty? Is that it, Bright? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? That's not the way to put it, okay. And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Knight, why? Well, I just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? Yes, and never bring it up again. Okay, so... Suicide note, but we're looking for... How do we mention the note? Alright, we're going down the line now, because I have no clue. Ah, okay, the costume. This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in the picture, Your Honor. In this picture? It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I am proposing. Inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. That's what I was wondering. Okay, yep. What? Mr. Knight, explain yourself. Right? Are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume. Of course. Oh, Juan Carita was gonna dress up as the Nickel Samurai to do some confession. That's what was the plan? Okay. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity as she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order! Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Well, wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Metgun Guard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places? True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was the Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? It was a spare costume. Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. What? Then are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I am saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had planned to bring the spare to the ceremony. But why? The victim, Mr. Karida, was the Japan ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? Ah, so that's what he intended. Nick just got it. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been brambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you could explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was... What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference after... a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. Oh. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt on Guard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Huh. Miss Andrews? I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one who asked to help to set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him. That was also me. You! Juan had bet everything on the Japan Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway.
He's going to ruin him? Huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed.
What? And do you know what the secret of Mr. Unguard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it was.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all.
Protect Mr. On Guard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him.
How would you know about the button? How would you know he had the button? This does account for everything.
Well, I'm a logical type. We're finally seeing her true form. Her true self. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If there are no objections, I feel that I can pass a verdict based on this testimony. Now then, Mr. Wright, if you please.
Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite of the end of the scale again. And that just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Why does my chair squeak so much? Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? Motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix.
They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember.
May I continue now?
So would you say this need came from the press conference?
Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event in that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Mr. Matt on Guard.
And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume.
But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about a press conference.
Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference?
Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right.
Has Mr. On Guard done something to hurt or betray you personally?
Why do you ask?
You were the one who helped Mr. Carita with his press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you still helped him.
The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Because we press everything. Press her every time. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover Mr. On Guard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia.
He's glaring at you, smart guy.
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage.
Then, what about the button?
The button?
It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Shaman Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't that right? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Ah!
Looks like you were outfoxed, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony.
I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat.
Thank goodness Mia can still look at me.
With an icy stare, yes.
Did they just explain in Ghost Trick? Ghost Trick explains this, that you can read the dead's thoughts? Is it the same way around, too, that Mia can read Phoenix's thoughts, apparently?
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt.
Then how'd he get the blood? Hold on a second. He'd have to get stabbed first before getting strangle-angled. Because he died from strangling, then he got knifed after.
That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt.
Catch you later on that. And how do you know that?
When the ends of the threads of the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit perfectly together. Or so I heard.
I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know that about this case down to such a fine detail?
Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you are not.
And I thought I had heard this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what?
But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him.
But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time.
Who's to say who she really was? Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it?
This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. On Guard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? The same reason why Mr. Karita planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. On Guard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant.
This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness.
As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid.
Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy.
Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more.
You should know this by now. But you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk.
Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. I know where it is. There it is. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off of the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it is impossible this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body.
Order in the court.
What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off of the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve?
What purpose?
We now know this button was torn off. Well, we now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? What was it?
To pin the crime on Guard. There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was the pin the crime on Mr. Guard. There's no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
And the real killer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then?
Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Guard, is... Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you! You are Mr. Kadita's killer! I choose you! I choose you, Pikachu! Pikachu! What? Broke him again! That's two of them now.
Order! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. What? How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Guard naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Huh? 3 glasses! Then... What? What about the button that was found in Meta Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body, or the killer. However, if Mr. Guard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. 4 glasses! The only person who could have put this button to Mr. Guard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews.
I see. But what about the empty guitar case?
That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Andrews. No! Why did they do that? But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. 5 glasses! And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews.
I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. The 5th! She pleads the 5th!
Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. By allowing a witness to not testify, the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? You should know that, Phoenix. Pleading the 5th is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room. Agent Andrews? Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed, understood? Alright. That's it! That's when Francesca planted this idea into her head. He must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Mr. Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence?
What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you have realized this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to prove a single piece of definitive evidence. Definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Karida. Well, that's about to show up.
Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Karida?
I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation.
I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof.
But that's not true!
In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow?! We don't have a tomorrow! If we don't get that guilty verdict... we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Edgeworth!
It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation was something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there's one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews? When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes? And? I can't help but think how unnatural that is.
He's working with us now! Edgeworth is teaming up with us now, okay.
Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness.
I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. There's no way Gumshoe didn't tell him, right?
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
Now we're setting a trap. When she found the body. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and looked tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Okay.
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
I didn't think I need to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours?
Now then, Mr. Knight, you may begin your cross-examination.
But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for?
Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you?
In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen.
Precisely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Ah. So it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Cardita? I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then what did you see next, witness? Slumped over.
Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. It really looked like he was sleeping.
Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? She wouldn't notice the knife in his chest? Then what did cross your mind?
I thought maybe he had smashed something up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. And then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyway, that's what I thought.
I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all. You thought he fainted?
I thought he was asleep at first. But then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone.
And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice?
Yes, he always had a hard time waking up. Swan always had a glass of tomato juice to drink.
I see. And after that, what happened next?
When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
And how did you come to realize that he was, in fact, dead?
I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backwards.
And knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened?
Yes. This is what it all comes down to.
Huh?
This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case.
Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Here's my problem. There's a knife in his chesticles. How do you not notice the knife? So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him?
No, not at all.
Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah! But what is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Cardita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man.
Well, you see...
I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted. And then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Yeah, your point is... Miss Andrews? Your testimony just now. It was all one giant lie. 6. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. No! It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard, is not guilty after all.
But that's impossible. You're wrong.
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan.
but you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify.
Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Ungod's innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Ungod.
What? No! Son of a bitch! Your Honor! The prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time.
What?
The reason is quite simple. I'm a son of a bitch. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. Damn
it. The absolute real truth? What are you?
Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head. But as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Ungod will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francesca von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday she was tossed as lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Ungod will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is to get our not guilty. That is my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please, someone. Help me.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right? I suggest you think carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Wright? Alright, request not for guilty verdict. We can't force her. No matter what she says, Miss Andrews is the only person it could be. Not to mention, I don't have a choice. I have to win complete acquittal today. Your Honor, the defense believes there is enough evidence to substantiate our claim. Therefore, we motion that this court passes a verdict of not guilty as soon as possible.
I'm disappointed in you, Wright. What have you learned in this past year? That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong. Oh my god.
Such a shame.
Huh?
I had hoped things wouldn't come to this, however... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court.
Stop!
No, Mr. Edgeworth! This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness.
What?
And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past.
Just stop! Please stop!
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here.
That's... So we made Edgeworth be the bad guy instead of us. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report.
What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews.
The secret of her codependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop. I beg you. If people find out that I'll...
If you're going to say you would choose death, that is no concern to me.
Edgeworth, how can you be so cold?
However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your breathing lips. No matter what I have to do. So will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me.
I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. My crime. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honestly. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife, and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using this Nickel Samurai costume. Inconvenience?
To stab the body with the knife? But why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth.
The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again. Just like last time. Last time? There it is. Matt was the one who made, what's her name commit suicide then?
So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Carita, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is a crime.
What? How is that possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination.
This is getting long. Press. But you could tell from the state of the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. That scarf is a part of the Jammin' Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up. I went to pour the juice. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt.
So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button?
The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife.
How could she do that when Oldbag was around? That was so you could get the knife, correct?
The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the crime scene.
So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife.
It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect.
So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Ungod's Kakama.
Yes, that's what I planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience.
Okay. An inconvenience?
There's a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway.
I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lada.
There was also one with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth.
That's Miss Oldbag for you.
I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once. I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again.
You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you?
Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony.
You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct?
Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there.
And what is the secret? Thank you for asking!
That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave my fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I actually did not want anyone to know about the costume.
I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Ungod's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's Hakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word, what does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Ungod. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk.
Francesca, huh?
She said that I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, that Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
Doctor. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer.
Well, wait, Your Honor! The defense still...
Right? Huh? It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for detention immediately. That's all. Court is adjourned for today.
Ah! Problem! Maya! Today's trial is over. And I didn't win an acquittal.
Witness, would you mind if I asked you something?
The card.
Edgeworth!
What is it? Why is she still there?
Before you leave the court today, I wonder if I might take a look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. Why the balls did you bring it? What exactly is it?
Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time, you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now, I found this in the room on that day. The room?
That day?
Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him. Why didn't you bring that up sooner? You found that card next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. How do you unconsciously slip it into your pocket? But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I guess not. But no, it does. No, it does. No, it does. No, it does. You don't. Yeah, I guess not. But it's still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why.
Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry!
Edgeworth?
Do you have any idea what you have stupidly, yet inadvertently done? This! I can't believe you hid this from me this entire time!
I didn't mean to... What is this all about? I've never seen such an emotional Edgeworth in my entire life! And I've seen some things! That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? Don't give me to be continue! Son of a bitch! Save. Are you kidding me? March 22nd, 5:24 p.m. Wright and Co. law offices. Phoenix Wright is now drunk off his ass. Probably. Wouldn't you drink? You know your buddy's dead now? Okay, so that's it for this episode. My throat is shut. Okay, Problem! Maya's gonna die. I'm guessing with that card we might be able to find her. I don't know. Are we having an investigation to find Maya now? Maybe? I don't know, but we'll have to find out next time. So for now, that right there is the game for now. I had fun with watching. That's what's all about, isn't it? Having fun this come by, and see you next time. Oh, jeez.